Hey guys, this is Clazart with Rise Alongside, and we are now in Game 3 of the Best of 3 series, which means the score is tied at 1-1 between BoxeR and Nada. So far, we've seen BoxeR demonstrate A, how crazy he is, and B, that he's stolen King Kong's balls off him before King Kong fell off that big skyscraper. And yeah, I'm surprised that Nada is still conscious, that he hasn't just been knocked to the ground by BoxeR's gigantic balls, demolishing him, kind of like the kind we see in the Transformers movie recently. But yeah, I mean, credit to Nada, he's been playing good StarCraft 2, and I'm excited to see what BoxeR's going to pull out in this crazy game.
Well, on the plus side, Nada had his mouth closed, so he didn't get teabagged by BoxeR. So that's a plus. And now they're officially 1-1 in the series. And Nada is probably going to do his best to do an early scout to avoid any more cheese, I would imagine. At least against a player like BoxeR, that's what I would recommend any player doing at this point, because we've just seen how unpredictable he can really be. I mean, even if you know that he's an unpredictable player and that he might go something crazy like 3-port Wraiths, or he might do something like, I don't know, double proxy barracks in the middle, you gotta still you got to keep your head on your shoulders. You know, you got to make sure that you're prepared for anything, and you got to be prepared for a standard game as well. So you can't let it shake you. And Nada, I think Nada has enough experience where he's not going to let that game shake him. If anything, you could argue that that's typical of a second game in a series of 3 where the other player feels that he's so far behind he has to do something in order to stay in the game, and he does something crazy. I should mention that BoxeR is the red Terran and RedNada is the teal Terran. So they're playing on Medusa, which is a great map, Neo Medusa, buildable in the middle for both Terran players. We'll have to see if that plays any role in this game. But yeah, it looks like we're not seeing any early SCVs. We're going to see a pretty standard match here, at least to start. And I don't know, Klaz, you have any predictions on either the craziness that we're going to see or who may be able to take this?
You know, I wouldn't be surprised if BoxeR does something ridiculous like a 14cc or something in this game, simply because he's been pushing completely the opposite in the previous 2 games. Although I wouldn't be surprised if Nada, and it looks like no, he's not going to do it. He's just going for a more standard build his supply depot, build his barracks. So it looks like we will see a standard game between these 2 players, and it's going to be a contest of macro and micro skill. Both players with identical builds. Nada now starting up his refinery as well as his barracks. But yeah, I've got to say I've been really impressed by the level of StarCraft that both these guys are showing. I mean, you can tell with some of the older pros where they've got units hanging around idle, or they're not really sharp, or their micro isn't here, or their macro isn't there. But both these guys are playing at a pretty high level, and I'm hopefully excited that no matter which of these 2 guys goes through today, we'll see them in action in the next season and see them performing at least in the pro league. And maybe if one of these guys could get, or both these guys could get into the individual league.
Yeah, I definitely think you're right, and it looks like we're going to see BoxeR putting a slightly forward barracks, and it's only forward because it's in the direction of Nada's base. And he might be floating that out for a scout, which I think would actually be a really good thing to do at this point, to get something static over his base for a little while, force Nada to really think about his strategy, and give BoxeR a little bit more insight into what Nada might be doing. Although I would think that Nada's going to play a standard game, but really, what does standard mean in a TVT? It could be a whole host of different things. It could be mass vultures. It could be 2-fact. It could be 1-fact or fake double. I mean, it could be such a large variety of things that scouting is going to play a major role in this game. And BoxeR is already starting out trying to get in their base. For whatever reason, though, he's sending his SCV away, which I think is a bad idea. With only the single Marine in there, he should have got a glimpse into Nada's base to see how many SCVs are on gas, which it looks like there are 2, and exactly what's mining, what's being built. And I'm a little surprised that he didn't. Nada, on the other hand, it looks like he's got an SCV sitting outside of BoxeR's base, and I don't think he's going to get any too much information either, as he's fighting with the Marine himself. So it looks like we are going to see another starport, early starport, coming from BoxeR, but and one coming from Nada as well. And so it looks like we're right now going to see a real TVT mirror match, and I don't know. Right now, I can't call it either way because they're doing the exact same thing, with the exception of, well, nothing. Apparently, they both have the same amount of Marines and number of Vultures and building a starport. So we'll have to see who's able to come out with some sort of lead with the same build.
Yeah, both players with virtually identical builds, both players starting up their starports, one factory and then starport. And BoxeR with a couple of vultures out now, Nada with a couple of vultures and 3 marines, and that SCV in front, that's the only difference. BoxeR with 4 marines, but Nada now with 2 vultures. BoxeR kills the SCV. This is going to be a close micro battle. Both players losing marines. BoxeR though with the shorter supply route is going to have that second vulture coming in. Both players lose their first vulture, but BoxeR got the marine and the vulture, so BoxeR probably coming out on top in that battle. Nada manages to kill all of BoxeR's marines, but BoxeR should come on this battle with 1 vulture, 2 Nada, 0 vultures at the end of this, and yeah, BoxeR's vulture survives. So BoxeR drawing first blood at the end of that fight. Is it just me, or does BoxeR just seem to be really enjoying his StarCraft these days? Win or lose, he just always seems to have a grin on his face and a twinkle in his eye. But now Nada's got the control tower down. I'm not sure if BoxeR has as well. I think he does. So it'll be interesting to see what we see here, whether either of these players are going to try and go for drops and maybe try and sneak those vultures in through the back door, although neither player really has a significant number of vultures, or whether both are going to try and produce cloak raids off of one starport with control tower. I personally feel the dropship is the more likely option, but we'll have to see. Nada with another vulture coming out. BoxeR meanwhile has repaired his vulture. And this is going to be a close run thing between these 2 players. I feel BoxeR's vulture might go down first, because BoxeR took 1 hit more. Actually, it might be Nada's vulture that goes down, and BoxeR again gets the kill and is going to repair his vulture again. So BoxeR seems to be a little bit ahead in terms of the micro stakes. But yeah, raids coming out for BoxeR. Nada still hasn't produced anything yet.
I gotta agree with you. I think that BoxeR does seem to be not only enjoying the game, but he's got that look of intensity on his face. Not that Nada ever looks particularly intense or particularly happy. He always looks like he's just at work. But really, BoxeR definitely does have like that tenacity on his face once again. Like he really wants to win this, and I think he does. And I think Nada really wants to win as well. I just think they show their emotions differently. But either way, it looks like both players continuing to try to out-micro each other, both getting cloak at the same exact time, and I don't know if, I think they both got a hit off on each other's wraiths, so it's not going to be a big deal, but it looks like Nada is going to take a wraith down. That's going to be huge. 2 wraiths to 1 will definitely win in an air battle, that's for sure, but we do see the armory down for BoxeR, so he's certainly going to have some Goliaths out very shortly to deal with any of the wraiths, and I would imagine that he's got scan as well, or if not already has scan, he's building it. So looks like Nada may be committing a little bit to this wraith build, a little bit more than BoxeR is. He's got 3 wraiths at this point. The BoxeR's 2. If he can continue to pick off BoxeR's wraiths, obviously that's going to put him in a good position. But I'm not really sure he's going to be able to do too much, especially with those Goliaths coming out soon. And Nada's got some Goliaths of their own. So really, both these players are going to have to switch up their strategy a little bit and move either further down the tech tree or at least start working on that ground infantry. I don't know why I would say further down the tech tree. I mean, really, the tech tree's open. No! They are going further down the tech tree as we see a a Valkyrie come out of all things. What the hell? I did not expect that. And once again, BoxeR showing us why he's an unpredictable player as a Valkyrie of all things pops out of his starport to see if he can do some more damage. But that Valkyrie, I gotta say, I feel like it's going to be very weak against wraiths that have cloak and can just totally dodge out of scan and then pick off the uncloaked Valkyrie. So I don't know if that was a smart investment once again, but certainly it'll be a lot of fun to watch put to use. I lose you again,
yeah, and we fell out of sync again there for a second, but I am at 850 now. So yeah, and I'll tell you when I get to 9. But BoxeR with the Valkyrie, yeah, he really doesn't want to surrender air superiority after losing that first raid battle. And we are now at 9. Yeah, he really didn't want to surrender air superiority after losing that first Wraith battle, so that's why he's gone with the Valkyries. But you feel that Nada's probably going to be slightly ahead because he's going to have the air superiority, and since both players are committing to this. And I think that it could make a difference. Obviously, both players have something in mind. I think if you can control the air superiority, you can prevent your opponent from getting drops off up behind that ridge, up behind your base, which can be a factor on this map quite often. And obviously, both players with the starport control tower early on. So Nada's got about 4 or 5 raids moving. I think Nada's got the more maneuverable air force as well. He's got a couple of Goliaths out in the field as well to support his raids. He's got about 5 Goliaths there. BoxeR primarily relying on siege tanks, but I'm not sure how many Goliaths, if any, he has. I don't think he has too much out in the middle of the field. It looks like Nada's now going to push out towards BoxeR's front. BoxeR siege tank coming under damage from the Goliaths as well as the raids. BoxeR loses 1 siege tank already. He's bringing his air force in, but it's very slow to arrive. Now it arrives. BoxeR gets the scan off. He's got the Valkyries, but unfortunately he's taking damage from the Goliaths as well. He's lost his siege tanks. Now he's managed to kill all of Nada's raids, but he's lost all his raids in the process as well. So he's got his 2 Valkyries that that are alive. He's killed all of Nada's raids, but Nada has now got 3 Goliaths pushing up into BoxeR's natural expo. BoxeR with only the 1 siege tank out. He should be able to defend this and hold. It's just a question of whether Nada's going to be able to. Nada pulls back. So even though Nada, I feel like is just starting to pull a little bit ahead here. He's won a couple of significant battles, and now he's. I feel he's starting to pull ahead. BoxeR putting down his 3rd and 4th factory though.
Well, you know, BoxeR's got one thing going for him, and that is the cool factor. He's got the cooler hair, he's got the cooler strategy, but does he have the ability to put it together and win with it? Unfortunately, BoxeR actually just lost his barracks. That's going to actually hurt a little bit, and certainly be a little bit of a hassle for him as he has to rebuild that. But really, I guess my point is the fact that BoxeR is entertaining us. He is doing a really good job here, and he has with every single game that I've watched since he come back with ridiculous strategies, and those Valkyries have worked. Now, the only thing that I see as a problem with these Valkyries is the fact that he's got 3. Nope, that was 2 with a Goliath under him. He's got 2, and essentially now they're pretty much useless. He can use them for spotting. Oh, but he's going to lose them as the Goliaths push in and put pressure on the tanks. No, he actually is able to save them as the Goliaths were focusing on the tanks, which makes sense because the Valkyries have nothing to attack. And that was my point before, was the Valkyries have become a useless investment. He no longer can do anything with them with the exception of spotting. And really, what use is that spotting with a unit that costs 250 minerals and 125 gas? I don't know if that's exactly how much they cost. I can't remember how much they cost, but I think it's pretty close to that. And that is a lot of money to be floating out in the field, useless for the rest of the game. Maybe it will be, you know, peanuts as the game goes on relative to the cost of all the units, unit expenditures. But for now, at this point in the game, you're right. I do think Nada's going to start to pull out ahead because that really just wasn't a good use. You know, BoxeR, you're right, he went for air superiority, but Nada wasn't going for air superiority. He was going for the race to use him as an attack force. You know, that was really it. Oh, but look at this. We see a drop coming in from BoxeR, but Nada way ahead, totally able to see this, totally sees it coming, and is able to run all of his SCVs away, which is definitely important. But on the other hand, BoxeR lost his refinery. Oh, that's going to be huge in a 2-base versus 2-base battle. Having 1 gas as a Terran is, that's suicide. And if he can't secure that very shortly, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. So he's going to have to go all the way back with that dropship, drop on those tanks, take them out. And at the same time, he's fighting in the middle, trying to push in, dropping some tanks. Is he going to be able to break this force? I would say yes. But it's taking a couple of casualties on his side. Doing a pretty good job, though, is able to clear that out. And now BoxeR is able to put some pressure on, but Nada right away able to reinforce once again. And BoxeR hasn't done anything but gain a little bit of ground to potentially secure that 6 o'clock expansion. And really, I still feel like Nada is in a stronger position as he still has those tanks, and BoxeR still doesn't have that gas. BoxeR, what are you doing, man? You got to get that gas. This is a DVD.
Yeah, I'm afraid this game is slipping away from BoxeR's grasp. Nada's already got that expansion up and running at the 9 o'clock position, so he's a base up on BoxeR. I guess BoxeR felt it more important to secure that kind of middle corridor before taking that refinery position. But during that time, Nada, the key here is that even though BoxeR did lose that refinery, he had it down for a while, he did kill more of Nada's, I guess, gas units than Nada killed of his, because BoxeR killed all that Nada had in the middle by concentrating his forces there. So he kind of neutralized that a little bit, but being out of mine time for such a long period of time, still so early in the game, and being down now a base to Nada's. I mean, he is building another command center, but Nada's had his command center already complete before BoxeR even started building his command center, so that's not a good place to be in. The only advantage that those Valkyries give BoxeR at all is if he can catch a couple of dropships with them, he might be able to take them down as they're flying around. They're good for chasing those dropships down if he can intercept them. BoxeR meanwhile looks like he might be also trying to take that min only up behind his main. But Nada's coming in for another drop with 2 dropships, and I'm not sure if BoxeR's going to have enough to defend this. He's spread pretty thin as it is, now trying to put up that engineering bay. He desperately needs some turrets. Nada dropping 4 siege tanks, and I feel that BoxeR's probably going to at the very least lose his refinery yet again. Now Nada coming in with the Valkyries. This is where the Valkyries come in. Nada has not brought anything to support those dropships, no Goliaths, but those Valkyries aren't strong enough to kill those dropships quickly enough, and Nada's probably going to be able to save those dropships and get them within range of... Oh, one of the dropships gets taken down. BoxeR trying to chase the second dropship down. He really needs to kill that dropship to give himself a chance. BoxeR also desperately defending and trying to repair that refinery, but he doesn't seem to have the units to spare to come back. Now that he's taken out Nada's dropships, that gives him a brief breathing space. Nada still with the one dropship though, but BoxeR needs to get and re-secure that refinery ASAP. He's got a dropship there, but he's only got the one dropship. He really needs 2 dropships kind of worth of units to be able to do it, although so far he's managed to hold that refinery, and now BoxeR finds himself in the unenviable position of being forced to bring out SCVs to take out his opponent's tanks, and BoxeR losing about 5 SCVs there and still not being able to kill most of the tanks. There's still 4 tanks and 2 Goliaths there, and Nada continue to reinforce. Now BoxeR with the Valkyries is going to finally take that dropship down, so Nada's going to stop being able to reinforce it, but Nada's got a decent sized force enough there already to be able to continue to put pressure on BoxeR. He's still got the 4 siege tanks and the 2 Goliaths there. BoxeR's engineering bay absorbing some damage from the Goliaths. But BoxeR is in a lot of trouble right now. Nada is really pulling far ahead in this game, although Nada hasn't taken his mid only, but Nada meanwhile looks like he's getting ready to take that 11 o'clock expo as well. So Nada's spreading all across the map, and it does look to me like at this stage Nada is in a stronger position. The BoxeR just now trying to clear out the middle. If BoxeR can maybe clear out the middle and make a push somewhere, that will help him, but he doesn't have the resources to do it, and he's consistently falling behind in his economy.
Yeah, so this is going to be very difficult for BoxeR to either get back in this game or stay in this game, however you want to look at it. I do think he's certainly behind. Nada, of course, has the option, with the amount of pressure he's been able to put on BoxeR, he has the option to not even take his mineral only. He can just take another base with gas, and he's now up. Oh my god, he took out the gas again. And BoxeR just not able to secure that. Now BoxeR trying to make a little bit of a counter effort here to get into Nada's outer ledge on his base, and really that'd be great if he can do that. But Nada already putting up a pretty secure perimeter, and almost all of BoxeR's tanks are heavily weakened. And BoxeR, he does not have the units to deal with the unit count that Nada does, and the production capability. I mean, really, this is where we're seeing BoxeR falling behind. He's only got the 3 bases, and like you said, he only just got the 3 bases up now. Nada's had it for a while. He's working on his 4th base, so really he's never getting that capacity. And at the same time, while he's doing good overall with his micro, little things like that siege tank almost getting taken out completely as he was being dropped. I mean, that's horrible for him. He's going to lose way too many units that way that he doesn't have to spare. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Okay, I'm at 1730, Rise. I'm at 1730 right now. Yeah. Unfortunately, this looks like we're having constant lag spikes for some time tonight. Now Nada dropping behind BoxeR's Expo at that expansion at the 6 o'clock position with 2 dropships worth of units. There's a siege tank and a few Goliaths there. Again, BoxeR's going to be forced to pull all of his SCVs off the line there and divert forces to try and re-secure that expansion. But Nada's constantly harassed BoxeR throughout this game and made him pay a lot in every inch of ground that BoxeR has gained. And I think that BoxeR has, because both players started out with similar builds, the key was that Nada won that first Wraith battle, which kind of forced BoxeR to go into the defensive because he didn't want to leave Nada with Wraith dominance in the air, and that's why he produced those 2 Valkyries. And I guess he was a little short on the ground after that, and then he lost that first key ground battle, and Nada has just continued to cement his advantage from then on in. And I don't know if it's just the fact that BoxeR's macro has been slightly weaker, or if it's just that Nada has, I guess, outplayed him at a couple of key moments in the match and used those moments to cement his advantage in this game.
I think it's a bunch of little things put together. Can you hear me now, by the way?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Yeah, I think it's a whole bunch of those aspects added up together. You know, I think the little games that we're seeing here and there from Nada just add up to be a lot, especially in a TVT. You know, where I mean, it's just every time you lose a unit in a dropship, you lose just your capability to do damage. And Nada has done a fantastic, phenomenal job at just harassing BoxeR every which way that BoxeR looks. You know, he's being attacked by Nada, which is, I definitely think, exactly what Nada should be doing, and he's just executing it perfectly, at least against BoxeR at this point, doing a great job of making sure that BoxeR never has any time to breathe, never has any time to be creative, and maybe that's the way to play BoxeR, you know, just not give him time to think about what he can do at this point to really do something. But BoxeR still continuing to try to do some harassment in Terran with a couple of vultures, but that's just not going to be enough, even if he takes out all of the SCVs at those 2 bases, which is not going to happen as they get destroyed by SCVs. really it's just not going to be enough to get him back in this game as he loses his main. He loses his supply line again, the heart of his supply. That is a horrible thing to lose in a TVT or any match for that matter. And he's not going to be able to recover from this. And Nada is certainly sealed this victory in this series. And it looks like Nada's going to be moving on to the finals, which I got to say, he's not. You mentioned that he played well in this game in particular, making BoxeR pay every all the time, always harassing him. But he's been doing that in this entire series, with the exception of the second match. And really, that I think is what really won it for Nada. And I gotta give it to him. He did a really good job of doing so, showing us why he still is such a good, consistent player. And looks like he's going to make it to the finals.
Yeah, Nada definitely looks like he's going to go through to the finals and progress through, unfortunately at BoxeR's expense. But that can't be helped. There has to be a winner, there has to be a loser, and I'm as big a fan of Nada's as I am of BoxeR's, even though I think BoxeR is probably the more entertaining of the two players. But yeah, I think this game is pretty much GG right now, and the only reason it's still continuing is because it is a Terran versus Terran, so BoxeR can still continue to try and hold defensive positions, and his opponent has to produce an overwhelming number of units to clear out any defensive positions that BoxeR puts up, even though his opponent's economy is much stronger. I mean, Nada, if you look at it, BoxeR has, I guess, 1, 2, 3, 4 bases to Nada's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Nada with at least 1 to 2 bases up on top of BoxeR, and I think one of those bases of BoxeR's isn't even mining any gas because it's his mid only up above his main, whereas all of Nada's bases are gas mining. So that's just not a good position, and not to mention all the losses BoxeR's taken. So really, it is GG, but because it's the last game of the series, BoxeR will obviously fight till the very last breath and hope against hope that Nada makes some kind of critical error, runs his dropship into a bunch of turrets or something silly like that and loses because of that, although it's unlikely. It looks like BoxeR tries to make a push up the middle to try and gain that middle ground, but that's held quite securely by Nada, and BoxeR's going to be forced back. And yeah, I think he knows it. I think he knows it's over, but he just doesn't want to accept it.
So, can I say that Nada is going to give BoxeR the knockout punch? Oh! Yeah, you guys were waiting for that if Nada won. And if BoxeR had won, I would have just been like, wow, BoxeR gave Nada the knockout punch. And you would have been like, oh! Brilliant! Either way, it looks like Nada is going to take this. And BoxeR just, unfortunately, he really did play. He did play well. You were right. He was very entertaining. But at this point, I think in his career, getting back into things after being on Air Force Ace for so long, I just don't think he's really had enough time to get back into it. I know he has spent a lot of time practicing. I can tell he's been putting a lot of effort in. He's playing a much higher level than he was in Air Force Ace. He's playing with a lot much more tenacity and just enjoyment, like we were saying earlier. And so I do expect more great things from this 30-year-old pro gamer. I don't think this is the end by any means. This is the semifinals, by the way. And scratching his head a little disappointed, of course, as we see GGs from both these players. And, unfortunately for him, he lost. But like you said, I'm also a big fan of Nada. I'll be honest, I'm actually a bigger fan of Nada than I am BoxeR, so I can't say that I'm not happy that he won. But both these players obviously mean a lot to the sport in general, and so it was great to watch them face off against each other once again after such a long time that it's been, and of course very gracious to each other. It looks like they're going to go out and shake each other's hands, and I think they both deserve a bow in return, not just giving us a bow. So I gotta say GG. I hope you guys enjoyed that. I certainly did. Class, I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, but that's all I got.
GG guys, thanks for listening.